What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. We had a couple of moves in NHL free agency that happened. First off was Nikolai Ehlers. I talked about this a little bit, not the actual signing, the fact that he was still unsigned with Redbox and Alec. I think that was on Thursday or Friday, maybe. And Ehlers has signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. Big contract, 6 years, $51 million for Ehlers. You know, a lot of people are really worried about the fit in Carolina. He's a very good player. Last year, 24 goals and 63 points. That was the second best statistical season of his career. In terms of points, it was the third best statistical season. That should be fourth. Third. It's a goal. So he had a really good year last year. He's going to be 29. So 6 years is definitely a long-term deal. But he is a very good player. He's been in Winnipeg his whole career for the last 10 seasons. But he now exits Winnipeg and he is heading to Carolina. So Carolina's been making some big moves. After you make the move, you make the trade for Keandre Miller from a Rangers defenseman, give him a big contract, and now you bring in Nikolai Ehlers. So Carolina, every year they seem to have a loaded team, and every year they seem to find a way to come up short. You've only won one game in the conference finals, and so it would like the last 20 years. Since Robert Redmore took over, they've only been to two conference finals, only one win in those two series combined. But also Florida both times. But it's time for them to get over the hump. It's gonna be tough to beat Florida, of course, but someone's gotta beat them at some point, and you argue Carolina should be the top contender. They were in these conference finals this past year. Look at the other teams. Is Washington going to do that again? I don't know. So we'll see what happens. But Carolina makes a big move for Nikolai Ehlers, 6 years, $51 million. The Columbus Blue Jackets re-signed Dmitry Voronov. He gets a 2-year extension worth $4.17 million a year. Voronov is one of the better young players that they have. He's only going to be 25 next year. Last year, 23 goals, 47 points, improved from his rookie season. Very good. So only going to be 25. Won't be his third year in the league. Was drafted by Columbus back in 2019. Very talented young Russian forward. And he returns to the Columbus Blue Jackets on a 2-year deal. And the Flyers extended defenseman Cam York on a 5-year extension worth $5.1 million a year. York, slight down year this year after a career year in 2024 when he had 10 goals and 30 points. Had some injuries this year, only played 66 games, so he did miss 16 games. And I guess if you add the 16 games, he wouldn't have had as much of a down year than the numbers show. 4 goals, 17 points. He's not great on the back end. Him and Trevor Sandholm are very similar. Very good puck movers. They have a very good shot at the point, but are not great on the back end. But he's only going to be 25. He's a very good offensive defenseman, very talented, and the Flyers lock him down. So Philly's been busy. Of course, you make the trade for Trevor Zegras, and now you lock down Cam York. Continuing with NBA free agency. So as you know, a couple of weeks ago, Houston Rockets made a trade with the Suns to get Kevin Durant. They sent Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, a first-round pick and a bunch of seconds to the Phoenix Suns. And then all of a sudden, there was a whole talk about a 17 term opening up with with the Suns, Rockets, and the trade expanding, and it has now been completed. This is absolutely ridiculous. Why we need to include 7 teams. The Suns get Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, come on, Malak, off the 10th pick. They also get Rasheer Fleming, Kobe Brea, Daquan Plowden, and a second-round pick. Houston gets Durant and Clint Capella, who the guy they signed. Nets get 2 second-round picks. Golden State gets Alex Tuhi and Jemai Massack. Atlanta gets a second-round swap, David Roddy, and cash considerations. Lakers get Adele Farrow. Minnesota gets Rocco Zakarski and 2 second-round picks in cash. It's so pointless. A lot of these guys I've never even heard of. Just Atlanta wants to get something for losing Clint Capella. And just everyone wants to get something for losing their guys. And so the Nets were like, ooh, more picks. So they jumped in. And it was just a whole thing, a mess. There was no reason to have a 17 trade in the NBA. I just kind of want to come here and just rant about how dumb this is. But we had a couple more trades that were much more sensible in the NBA. Yesterday, it broke that the Rockets were sending Cam Whitmore to the Wizards for 2 second-round picks. So I like this a lot for the Wizards. Whitmore was okay. He was very talented coming out of college. I think he went to um, Villanova or something like that. He went to Villanova. I think it was Villanova. Was a really good player. Was a projected top 5 pick in the draft a couple of years ago. He had some sort of health condition that made him drop in the draft. Houston ended up getting him like the 20th pick a couple of years ago. He has not been great so far this past year. Only played 51 games. He averaged only 9 points a game. Shot 44% from the field, 35% from three. So he to this point hasn't been great, but he's only played 2 years in the league. Very, very talented. He's only going to be 21 years old next year. Houston's got a lot of young players over there. They're very deep, so he didn't get a ton of playing time. He only averaged 17 minutes a game over the last 2 years. He did regress in his second season. There's still a lot of talent there. Was there kind of where guys go to die to an extent. They're not a good organization. They've been very bad for a long time. However, he will get a lot of more playing time in Washington. That's kind of reject central level there. You trade Jordan Poole for CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk. You have Marcus Smart over there. So you have a lot of those kind of older, over the hill guys that maybe on a contender could help in as a role player, but as a supposed star on the Wizards, really can't help you. It's reject central over there. The only legit young pieces you have over there is you drafted Alex Sarback for second overall. He might be able to turn like an Evan Mobley kind of guy, impactful defensive player, but limited offensive game. There really isn't a whole lot there. I didn't think the Poole trade made a whole lot of sense. They get a couple of draft picks back, but Poole's the guy who had a good year last year. He's young. So you traded from McCollum, who's a very good player, but always hurt and older. Kelly Olynyk is another guy, not a bad player, fine stretch 5 on your bench, but older. You last year you traded Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton, which is kind of a lose-lose trade. Made no sense for the Bucks. Trade a guy who was been your second best player next to Giannis for a while, was a big part of your championship team. Yes, he's a guy who's aging and always hurt. I think for Kyle Kuzma was even worse. And for Washington, Kuzma's not a world beater, but a fine role player to have. And you traded him for a wash Chris Middleton. It didn't really make sense for either side. But he's still there. But Whitmore should get a chance to play, and so that's good on him. Houston, I'm surprised that they moved off of him. However, they do have a lot of young players over there. They wanted to have the open roster spot. We'll see if they do something with that last roster spot. Maybe they want to add someone with a little more experience. They're going into true contender mode. Obviously, you make the trade for Kevin Durant. You have a lot of really good young players. You have, Amen Thompson there. Fred Sengun's a great big. Fred VanVleet is a point guard. You have former NBA champion with Toronto there. So that should be a really good team. That should easily be a top 4 team in the Western Conference if everything goes right next season. And we had a 3-team trade that broke earlier today. From the Miami Heat, Los Angeles Clippers, and the Utah Jazz. The Heat get Norman Powell. Los Angeles Clippers get John Collins. Utah Jazz get Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a second-round pick from the Clippers in 2027. So the Heat trade Kevin Love and Kyle Anderson for Norman Powell. Clippers trade John Collins and a 27 second-rounder. No, they trade Norman Powell and a 27 second-rounder for John Collins. Utah trades John Collins for Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a Clippers second-rounder in 27. Kind of very, very random trade. I like this for Miami. Norman Powell is a very good player. A little bit older. I think he's going to be 32. He's 32 right now. He'll be 33 by the end of the next season. But it's coming off a great year. He averaged 21, almost 22 points a game. Shot 48% from the field and 41% from three. He's also a solid defender. So he's a really good shooter. Good scorer. The basketball can defend. I think it's a very good piece for them to add. Kevin Love is washed. Had a great career, great power forward. It was a big part of the Cavs championship in 2016. A lot of playoff experience, but last year only played 23 games, only averaged 5 points a game. He doesn't shoot the ball the way he wants to. He doesn't have a whole lot left. In fact, I would not be surprised if Utah buys him out at some point. Kyle Anderson, again, good defensive player to have on your bench, but gives you nothing offensively. Older. For Norman Powell, very good value for the Miami Heat, if you ask me. The Clippers, you give up, Powell, who is a very good shooter. However, you have a bunch of wings. You have guys that can score. You got legit big and lob threat and John Collins. Collins had his best season in years. He's a guy who came up in Atlanta. He had that breakout year in 2020 when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, when he averaged 21 points and 10 boards. Looked like he was going to be a possible star. He kind of regressed from there, has been used the last 2 years, but great year last year, averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds last year, shot 39% from three, 52% from the field. That first in Utah was really, really rough. He did miss a lot of games last year. He is a guy who's very injury prone, but when healthy, John Collins is a very good stretch five and lob threat. Little bit left to be desired defensively, but very good stretch five and lob threat when healthy. And the only legit big he had there is Vika Zubac, who's a great rebounder and rim protector, but he obviously isn't much of a guy who can space the floor. And then you have a guy that can do that in John Collins. So for Powell's probably objectively a better player, but it's a team that needs to get younger than they did. Powell's going to be 33, Collins is going to be 28. With the Jazz, they were trying to move John Collins. This team needs to shake out. I've said it many times. So you let go of Johnny Juzang, you buy out Jordan Clarkson. Now you send off Collins. Don't get a whole lot for him. To me, they got two guys that they're going to buy out probably in the next by the end of the season. I mean, a second round pick and two years isn't much, but you got something for John Collins always. So makes a lot more sense for the Clippers and for the Heat, but at least Utah's able to unload John Collins. And nothing else opens up more playing time for a fifth overall pick, Ace Bailey. Let's go into the MLB standings. We are around the corner from the All-Star break a week from today, I believe. So I will probably do the standings. Next time will be about a week from today when we get to the All-Star break, and then we'll go from there. But the Toronto Blue Jays are red hot. They are the hottest team in baseball. They have won 8 games in a row. They are in first place in the American League East. I don't remember the last time the Blue Jays were in first place. They swept the Yankees in a 4-game series last week for the first time in their franchise's history. They are rolling right now. Kudos to them doing this without Santander. He gave $115 million to be a middle of the order threat. Doing this without a Gold Glove center fielder and Dalton Varsho. So kudos to them as they're. It's weird. This is a team going to the year we thought has a lot of strong starting pitching, but had a lot to be desired offensively. They've actually been very solid offensively. It's actually the rotation that's struggled a tiny bit behind Jose Barrios. But they've been playing some excellent baseball. They've won 8 in a row. Yankees lost 2 out of 3 of the Mets after the Toronto series. They've been struggling for a while. 4-9-41 on the year. This is what happens when you're managed by Aaron Boone. Every summer, you go into a deep slump. But they did win the last game against the Mets. To hang on, they're at 4-9-41, still right there in the playoff race. Tampa Bay Rays, that's weird. The Yankees and Rays have the same record, which is wild to even think about. Rays have been playing well for a while, 4-9-41. Both are tied for a playoff spot. Yeah, Boston at 4-6-45. They're hanging in there. Obviously, after the Rafael Devers trade. They're an interesting team at the trade line because you got a guy in Alex Bregman who could opt out. I'm hearing Jalen Duran could get moved. San Diego's been a top suitor for him for a while now. See what they do. And then they got the Orioles at 40-49. They have played a lot better since firing Braden Hyde. I heard they don't want to sell. However, you're in last place of the division. You're 7.5 games out of the playoffs. So you might not have a choice. They don't have a ton of guys you can flip. And you're not blowing up the team, trading away Gunnar Henderson or Ali Rushman or anything like that. But 9 games under 500, 7.5 games out of a spot. July 7th, the trade deadline is in 3.5 weeks. Running out of time. The Detroit Tigers continue to roll 57-34. They right now have the best record in all of baseball. Also, they've been a lot better offensively than we all thought. The rotation behind Tariq Skubal, who's definitely the AL Cy Young favorite, has been a lot stronger than we all thought. And they have the division unlocked. 13.5 game lead on Minnesota. Every other team in the division has been below 500. The Cleveland Guardians have lost 10 games in a row. That is not going well in Cleveland. And the Royals 43-48. I thought they'd get a lot better personally. And the White Sox are 30-60. I think we all expected them to be really bad. So it is wild to say that they have 30 wins here, which is really bad. They won, I think, 41 games all of last year, and they have 30 wins, and we still have just under half the season left. American League West, Houston Astros have been rolling. They've got to 20 games over 500. They are the second best team in the American League and third best in all baseball. They've opened up a 7-game win with Seattle Mariners, American League West. Seattle ton of pitching, not a lot of hitting. Julio Rodriguez, I'll get to All-Star stuff in a minute, but can't believe he made the team. He has not had a good year. He's really regressed over the last 2 years. Exciting to watch. His first couple of years, the guy was electric, but last couple of years, I mean, he's got nothing around him in that lineup. He probably needs a change of scenery, which he's not going to get. But very exciting player who I'm not surprised is a fan favorite, but last 2 years has been quite mediocre if you really look deep into the numbers. Texas Rangers 44 and 45. I mean, American League's so much more wide open. The Nationals are only 3.5 games in a playoff spot. Very happy that Jacob deGrom has had an outstanding season. He stayed healthy. He's reminded everyone, hey, I'm still a dog. And kudos to him. It's got like a 2 of 9 ERA this year. He's back. Very nice to see. But the rest of that team has just not pulled their weight. And it's been, to me, again, a team that I thought would be a lot better than they are. Angels 4-3 and 46 have actually been better than I thought. They're hanging in there in the 8th, 37 and 54. Obviously, they have a bunch of young players I like a lot. Who's just center fielder that makes a leaping catch in every game? You got Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker. So a lot of nice pieces over there. But just terrible ownership. They're playing in a minor league ballpark that their own players don't even like. The National League, Phillies 53 and 37, first place National League East. Mets 2 and 39. After a horrible stretch, they lost 14 of 18, have won 4 of the last 5. Take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees and the Brewers. Still only a game and a half out of the division, still in a playoff spot. A lot of injuries on their pitching staff. However, getting some reinforcements soon. Shulman Naya now all year, and Kawhi Singleton now for a few weeks with an injury. Could get those guys back this weekend in Kansas City right before the All-Star break. Jesse Winker, your main designated hitter, now for 2 months, could come back tomorrow against Baltimore. And Brooks Raley, who's a left-handed reliever who didn't have a lot last year because of Tommy John, sort of the year before was excellent. They already need another left-handed reliever, and they could be getting him back around the All-Star break as well. So reinforcements coming for the Mets. Marlins have actually been playing good baseball. Still 40 and 48, 7 games out of a spot, but been playing a lot better. Braves 39 and 50. I know Alex Anthopoulos said we're not trading Chris Sale. They have to look into that. They got to sell. 11 games under 500. You're 13 and a half games out of the division. You're in 4th place. You're 8.5 games out of a spot. This team doesn't, I don't really know what they're going to do. I mean, Ronald Acuna has been outstanding since coming off the injured list, but there's not a whole lot to be desired. Matt Olson's fallen off a cliff since his MVP campaign. He's a finalist a couple of years ago, and Sale I think is still hurt, and just this is the same team that won the World Series 4 years ago and was a top team the last couple of years. The Nationals 37 and 53. The Washington Nationals have fired their manager and general manager. Manager Davey Martinez and general manager Mike Rizzo were relieved of their duties yesterday. Not surprised about Davey. I thought they might give him to the end of the year because he's in his 8th season there. And he won a World Series with them in 2019. But, they go out and lose 8 in a row, and he basically comes out and says, the players need to do better. This is not on me. It's like, okay, yeah, you're gone. And they haven't been to the playoffs in, 6 years since they won the World Series. The team's got a lot of young talent. I mean, we've been waiting for them to take a step forward. It hasn't happened. 16 games under 500. And not playing well, haven't played well in months. We thought they'd be a little better than they are. The writing was on the wall for him. It was just time for a change. I'm a little surprised about Mike Rizzo. He's done a very good job there overall. I know at times he's made some stark comments about his team and other teams. He's not afraid to say what's on his mind, but he's a very good GM. After lose, the trade to get Adam Eaton when he knew Harper was leaving in a couple of years, and they were working out for them very nicely. They obviously got up a championship. Patrick Corbin, that contract didn't age well. However, that first half of the deal was very good. It did help him get him a championship. Obviously, he was able to poach Max Scherzer from Detroit all those years ago. In that 2019 year, making the moves he did to add to the bullpen, bringing guys like Daniel Hudson and Brandon Kinsler, bringing in Anibal Sanchez that year was a big move. Realizing that Juan Soto was not going to resign with you and getting a King's ransom back, getting back James Wood and Mackenzie Gore and all those young guys that you get back for him. He did a really good job navigating that. So he's always been a good GM. He's drafted very well. And he has them in a pretty good position, at least for the future. But surprised that he went I guess they just wanted to change, which is what was probably needed. But yeah, both of them got let go. So in that sense, I agree with them letting go of Davey, who I'm a little bit confused by letting go of Mike Rizzo. However, it's a bit of a weird situation to where if you bring in a new GM, but you keep the manager. It could be a weird situation. I mean, I would trust him to bring in his own manager next year. I would have at least given them to the end of the year. Remember, they have number one overall and a pick in the draft next week. You have a week before the draft. The number one pick. I would have at least let him make that draft pick. Or because now you're bringing. I get it. They haven't brought in anybody new yet. They're just promoting from within for now. But kind of odd timing. So don't really agree with getting rid of Mike Rizzo, but kind of understanding to where you just wanted a fresh slate. But going to the Central, Cubs 54-36. Second best record in the National League, playing really well. Pete Armstrong and Kyle Tucker. If they can extend Tucker, they'll be in really good shape for a long time, and then after with him and PCA. Milwaukee Brewers also playing well. 15-40. They're only 4 games out of the division. They're in a playoff spot right now. St. Louis 48-43. They've had a very strong first half compared to what I felt they're going to have. Reds have been playing well. 46-44. Pirates 38-53. Please trade Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, I think I saw in his last 11 or 15 starts, he's on 1.7 ERA and 1 win. Like that seems impossible. But they gotta trade him. National League West, Dodgers best team National League, no surprise there. Then you have the Padres at 47-41. You got the Giants 48-42. They've been playing great. Record Devils has struggled since coming over there. You have Arizona at 44-46. They're actually not even that bad of a ball club, even with losing Corbin Burns. They're just overmatched in the division. And then Colorado Rockies are 21-69. Good Lord. And they've been outscored by 229 runs. You're 27 games out of a playoff spot and 34.5 games out of the division on July 7th. There's a whole nother level of horrible. So in terms of whether they're going to be worse than the White Sox, they got to go, 22? They've played 90 games. So they got to go 22-5 the rest of the way. That, I don't know if they're going to win 22 more games. They've won 21 all year at this point. If I had to guess, they're going to probably be around 35, 37, 38 wins, which is unbelievable to even fathom. Against teams under 500, they're 8-48. They're 10-36 at Coors Field. They're horrible. They are beyond horrible. But MLB All-Star reserves were named. A reminder, who the stars are in the American League is Kyle Raleigh, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Gleyber Torres, Jose Ramirez, Jacob Wilson at short, outfielders are Aaron Judge, Riley Green, Javier Baez, DH is Ryan O'Hearn. These are the National League stars: Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Ketel Marte, Manny Machado, Francisco Lindor. Outfielders are Ronald Acuna Jr., Pete Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, Shohei Ohtani is the DH. The pitchers in the American League are Hunter Brown from the Astros, makes it for the first time. Chris Bubick in Kansas City. Robichon for the Red Sox has had a great season. Got Crochet for Boston. Jacob deGrom is back in the offseason with Texas. Max Fried for the Yankees. Josh Hader with the Astros. Yusei Kikuchi, who's now with the Angels, has had a good season. Andres Munoz in Seattle. Trips good ball with Detroit. And 2 more first-time All-Stars. Shane Smith for the White Sox. MLB has to drop their stupid rule of let's get everyone to the All-Star game. It is so dumb. Brian Wu as well with the Seattle Mariners. National League pitchers are Jason Adams, first time select with the Padres. Matthew Boyd with the Cubs. Edwin Diaz with the Mets, makes it for the 3rd time. Mackenzie Gore, take kudos to him for his first ever All-Star team. Clayton Kershaw got a legend pick. So dumb. Clayton Kershaw is one of the all-time greats. And he's been pretty good since coming back from injury with 3.4 ERA and 9 starts. Still a good pitcher. One of the all-time greats. But really, come on. Don't do that. Freddie Peralta, made from the Brewers. Robbie Ray with the Giants. Randy Rodriguez with the Giants as well. He's had a phenomenal year out of the bullpen. I think he's like a 0.6 ERA in 34 innings or something like that, or 39 innings. Chris Simmons for the 9th time with the Braves. Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler, and Yamamoto makes it with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, these are all the reserves for the hitters in the American League. Alejandro Kirk makes it as a catcher. He's had a very good year hitting over 300. National League Reserve catcher was Hunter Goodman in Colorado again. why are we giving the Rockies an ultra? Just because. The other infields in the American League to make it were Jonathan Aranda, who's been phenomenal for the Rays, Alex Bregman, when healthy's been great for the Red Sox, Jazz Chisholm, the Yankees. I think that was a bit of a stretch. He's had a good year, but they also missed like 6 weeks of an injury. Come on. Brendan Lau with the Rays, Jeremy Pena with the Astros. He is currently hurt. And Bobby Witt with the Royals. Bobby Witt's obviously an incredible player. On the National League side, you had Pete Alonso, who's had a phenomenal year. Definitely deserves to make it. You could even argue he should have sold over Freddie Freeman. Edwin De La Cruz, kind of self-explanatory. Brendan Donovan, again, why we just handing out all-star games left and right. Matt Olson and Eugenio Suarez. Suarez has had a very good year. The outfielders in the American League are Byron Buxton, who has been very good this year. Stephen Kwan, who's been great. Julio Rodriguez, I don't understand. I saw a stat. Robbie Tellez got cut by Seattle a week or two ago. He had 11 homers and a 690 OPS. That's basically Julio Rodriguez's numbers. So he has not had a good year. I cannot believe he made the All-Star. That is a complete joke. National League outfielders are Corbin Carroll to the bounce back year. Kyle Stowers, again, you don't need to give Miami an All-Star if they don't deserve it. Fernando Tatis Jr., even that one was a little sketchy. He's getting that his best year. And James Wood, who absolutely deserved to make it. He's been phenomenal. He's got 22 homers, over 60 RBIs, like a 930 OPS. He's actually going to be in the home run derby, which is going to be really, really exciting. Kyle Stowers is also going to be in the home run derby. A couple of guys said no. P. Alonso said no. Guy who's won it twice. Tatis said no. He said he's had an oblique injury throughout the year that's kind of causing him some pain, so he's going to not do it. And the DH in the American League is Brent Rooker. Should have made it last year. He's had another good year, hitting 273 this year, 809 OPS. On pace for another 30 homer season. He's been very good in the National League. Is Kyle Schwarber, who's had a great year. 27 homers, 62 ribbies, also has 63 walks and a 250 average with 380 on base. So Kyle Schwarber having a borderline a career year. He's emerged one of the best power hitters in all baseball since joining the Phillies 4 years ago. And those are your MLB All-Stars. So WWE Raw recap. Io Sky challenged Rhea Ripley to a World Heavyweight title match at Evolution, which she accepted. I'm sorry, this is terrible booking. The first match Io Sky has since WrestleMania, she hasn't wrestled in months. And the Rhea, who she's already beaten twice. Give me something fresh, okay? I love both women. Rhea's fantastic. Io's fantastic. This is old news at this point. Terrible booking. Give me something fresh. Come on, guys. Give me a break with that. Then we had Dominic Mysterio, kind of torn to AJ Styles with that doctor's note, which is a real injury, but they're using it on television. I do believe that SummerSlam they will get the Intercontinental title match. In the World Tag Team title match, Finn Balor and Jimmy Gunn, they defeat the New Day to win the titles. I don't mind. The New Day, their heel team was really exciting. It was they're a little bit shocking, but the execution was so bad. Their heel one's been very bad so far. Their title run kind of sucks, so I guess they just wanted to get the titles off of them, and now they can figure out what to do with them next. Finn and JD are now the champs. I'm hoping they drop it sooner rather than later. I could see the Wyatt Six maybe getting those titles. Rusev beat Sheamus in a one-on-one match. That was a very good match. Has Sheamus ever had a bad match? I'm not even kidding. That guy is one of the greats. Truly, he has not got enough credit. Just even if it doesn't lead to anything storyline-wise, every match that guy's in is just a banger. Banger to banger is his catchphrase, but it's true. That guy delivers banger after banger after banger. And hopefully we get more of him versus Rusev, but hopefully the storyline isn't done yet. Then we had Lyra Valkyria against Bayley, which is supposed to be a number one contenders match for the Women's Intercontinental title, and ends in a no contest, a double pin. And it's now going to be a triple threat: Becky, Bayley, and Lyra at Evolution. That should main event. That storyline's been great. They should that should main event. And Roxanne Perez officially part of it, but Judgment Day, Dom and Raquel weren't thrilled about it, but they did eventually come around. And then we had Ron Breaker about to defeat Sami Zayn and Penta in a tag match after being attacked after the match. Jey Uso came out to save Sami Zayn and Penta. So we will see what that leads to. Then Friday Night SmackDown this past Friday, it opened up with a Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton promo. Of course, Cody beat Randy Orton and Night of Champions, which makes him number one contender for John Cena's championship. At SummerSlam, that match has been confirmed. Roy Rich, Punk, and Orton was in it. Not the case. And the Punk promised Randy he beat Cena, but then Drew McIntyre came out returning Drew McIntyre, which is awesome. Very happy he's back after taking some time off. And he ended up getting RKO'd from Randy Orton, which leads to Randy and Drew at Saturday night's main event this Saturday. And then we had Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair and a newly formed team, if you want to call it that. They defeated Secret Hers, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven. And then of course, Beef Evan and Michin were around as well. Obviously, the team dynamic was a little bit odd. Obviously, Charlotte Flair's like pat on the head of Alexa Bliss triggered the tag, which Charlotte didn't realize, but they won the match. I believe we're gonna have a women's tag match with Raquel and Roxanne against them, and then a couple of other teams we don't know yet. We had the Wyatt Six with Uncle Howdy, Dexter Lumis, Eric Rowan, and Joe Gacy defeated a 1-on-8-man tag against kind of a put together tag team of Berto, Chris Sabin, Johnny Gargano, and Montez Ford, one person from each team. Wyatt Six wins the match. I'm assuming they're going to be tag champs sooner rather than later. And Tiffany Stratton came out so that she's interested. Well, not interested. She's looking forward to facing Jay at SummerSlam, but she wanted an Evolution opponent, and she called out Trish Stratus, maybe the greatest of all time. And Trish Stratus and acceptance. We're getting Tiffany against Trish at Evolution. This is exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure what kind of match it'll be. But Trish, I mean, she still does some part-time stuff from time to time, even ever since she retired for a long time now. She still looks fantastic for a woman her age. She can still go in the ring to an extent, and she should be on if an Evolution all women's event. She needs to be there doing something. She cannot just not be there. Okay, she has to be there. If Andrade and Ray Phoenix beat Fraxon in a tag match, these two guys are really good together. Have great chemistry. Both are very good in the ring. I'm happy they're getting a little run here. I get everyone like, oh, we should have the Lucha Bros together, Ray Phoenix and Penta. Penta is such a main event star at this point. You can't just relegate him to tag team wrestling right now. Andrade and Phoenix have a really good chemistry. It's a way to get them both on television, which needs to happen with how good they are on the ring. And I do hope they eventually get in the tag title conversation. Damian Priest and Aleister Black got into it backstage once again. Now Aleister Black is going to fight Ron Killings or Truth next this coming Friday. And the main event, Fatu and Jimmy Uso defeat Solo Sikoa and Jason Mateo in a tag match. But a brutal attack after match from Solo and his team beat Jason Mateo, of course, Tonga Loa, and Tala Tonga. What they're calling Hikalo, Tala Tonga. Laid him out. Solo's calling them his MFTs. MFT is his group, My Family Trade, which I think is kind of lame, but see where they go with this. Hoping we get Fatu, get the title back at SummerSlam. Hopefully, I think Roman Reigns is coming back soon. But that's all we got for you guys today. Till next time, so long. Have a great day.